Yeah.
Perfect. Hello, Xbox Nation. Welcome to the first episode of the Xbox Factor. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStickXK, and sitting right beside me, virtually, of course, is my very good friend from the other side of the pond, Welsh Gamer. Welcome, dude. I'm so excited that you agreed to partner up on the Xbox centric podcast that's going to run every Thursday. I could not have imagined doing it with anyone else because you're a big Xbox fan, I'm a big Xbox fan, and we're very good friends. So it's like a match made in heaven.
I'm really excited to be doing this, mate. Really excited. Just two guys who absolutely love the industry. Obviously, our preference is Xbox. It seems only right to do at least one Xbox-centric show, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. When you asked me to do this, I pretty much had to check my schedule to make sure it was possible. And the second I realized, yeah, do you know what? This is something that I can pull off. I was good to go. Big thumbs up. I was buzzing. So thank you for even asking me to do this. I'm really excited.
Well, I'm proud to say that we've talked about this, through DMs, and it's finally come to fruition. But I want to jump right into the first topic, and when you think of Xbox, you think of Halo and Master Chief. I mean, it's like chocolate and peanut butter. They just go together perfectly. The Halo franchise, as well as the Master Chief character, are one of the major foundations and what basically holds up the entire Xbox platform. And some new information has just sprung regarding the very talked about 4K update to the Master Chief Collection. And I don't know if you've seen any of the screenshots that people in the Insider program have been putting out. They're stunning. And, I've talked to different people privately who've actually are in this program, and they said that the screenshots look exactly like the game when you're playing. And that's really saying something. Now, I understand the Master Chief Collection is a bit old, but to be completely honest, doing a 4K update and I think it reinvigorates the franchise. We've had a lot of really great Halo news. You take the Master Chief Showtime program that's going to be coming out soon. You have the video we saw at E3 at Halo Infinite. So this is a great way to introduce people, because people buy Xboxes all the time that have never owned them, and I think this is a great collection to introduce them to the Master Chief. But in your opinion, do you think that them taking the time to make every game in that collection 4K is something that's important to the brand?
Yes. Frankly, I think this whole thing is really important because Halo Master Chief Collection's a funny one, right? When you sent me the topics list, and this one was one of the topics, it gave me a lot to think about, because with Halo MCC as an idea, it sounded so perfect, and the idea behind it, like when they first, and initially, like back in, like, what was it, 2014? When they pitched the idea of the Halo Master Chief Collection, I was sold. I was like, this is such a good idea. All my favorite games under one roof, all the multiplayers, all of this, all of that. But unfortunately, obviously, it didn't pan out that way, and it has a pretty bad stigma. But now, after all this time, it's like perfect now. It's what it was meant to be. But a lot of people haven't really cottoned on to the fact that MCC is still here, and it is still, and it's now like in a very good working condition. But with this MCC 4K patch and this whole overhaul of like the new features as well, like being able to optionally download like certain multiplayers or campaigns, so you don't have to download the whole file, little things like that as well, all in 4K for the One X. All of this put together in a sweet, sweet bow on top. Yeah, this is excellent news. This is great news. And it couldn't come at a better time neither, with the Halo Initiative trailer dropping and Halo 5 still being very popular with the multiplayer. I think there's no better time for people to start, taking Halo a bit seriously. And for people who might not have played Halo before, this is a perfect time to get into it.
Yeah, well, I want to read something from one of the community leads at 343 Industries, Brian Jared. He basically already confirmed that the first major update to the Master Chief Collection was finally coming into view, and this is how you know that there's truth behind that. They've stopped taking people into the program to play test it. So that tells me that they are done with the significant amount of updates for this. I was thinking that we may get this in December, but it definitely appears that we may be getting it a lot sooner. I think that is absolutely fantastic news. I'm looking forward to teaming up with many members of this community and running through all the Halos on the hardest difficulty, because you know what, when a game is that has some, first of all, the Master Chief himself is just a classic character. And right now we don't have any other new Halo games to play. But to be honest, when a game is up-resed into 4K and looks that good on your screen, for me, it makes me want to play through the entire series all over again. And I would gladly do that with many people in the community. What's your take on replaying a lot of the classics that you've probably already beaten, but would you be interested in running through them again?
Mate, yeah. I mean, it's Halo. I mean, don't get me wrong. A good game's a good game. Like, it doesn't have to be Halo, but Halo Master Chief Collection, I bought day one, and I played through. Like, I spent God knows how many hours going from the initial mission of you get put, jumping out of cryo sleep, all the way to Halo 4 when Cortana bloody disappears. I didn't put the controller down. So the fact that, as I'm an early adopter of the One X as well, I got a 4K TV, and like, not being a snob, but it is true. Like, I never believed it until I actually saw it for myself. But once you do play your Xbox games, like your Gears 4, your Halo 5, and God knows every other title that is available in 4K with the enhancements, it's hard to go back. So any excuse to replay a game like in 4K, and especially a franchise like Halo, when they patch that up and bring it up to full 4K from Halo 1 to Halo 4, God, yeah, I'm going to be replaying that. Yeah, 100%. I'd love to party up with you and two other community members, and the four of us go at it on Legendary.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anytime, literally anytime. That it's calling me. Boom, it's calling me.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I was on one of the last episodes of Mixing It Up with Noof, and that he unfortunately he brought the series to a halt because of life gets in the way. I was on episode 25, and we ran through, I believe it was Halo 2, and I got to tell you, man, it looked fantastic. But again, I have seen at least, now I have not seen it running, but I have seen at least a dozen screenshots, and every screenshot I have seen from this update, it makes my mouth water, because, when you talk about spending $500 on an Xbox One X and going out and getting a TV with HDR, you're investing in your hobby. And to see Microsoft take a game that's over 3 years old at this point, because I think it came out in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, it says a lot for not only their appreciation to the fans of the community, which is important, but their respect for the Halo franchise and their love and commitment to it. And I think that that's going to be good. But I want to segue over to something I think is huge. I did a story on my channel yesterday, but it's such a big deal for me, and I think it's going to be a big deal for Xbox gamers, and it almost needs to be talked about on an Xbox-centric podcast like this one. Big Forza Horizon 4 news leaked, and it appears, based on some information that was data mined, unfortunately, the Forza Horizon 4 files got leaked in June. And of course, the gaming community, who is notorious for mining for information, found Halo-related files in it. So you say, okay, the Warthog was in Forza Horizon 3. In fact, it was probably my favorite vehicle to use, especially on the Hot Wheels tracks and on Blizzard Mountain, more specifically, because it's a truck. But apparently, There is going to be themed events based on the Halo universe that's going to transform different parts of the actual game into Halo backgrounds, Covenant ships in the air, Halo missions using the Warthog. As a fan of Halo, how exciting is to hear that the biggest racer on the planet, not just on Xbox, literally on the planet, is now going to have something separate from your regular racing in the form of Halo. I mean, how crazy is that?
I think it's fantastic, and I don't see any need for it to end at Halo as well. I mean, they could do it for like the Hot Wheels track, right, with their Forza Horizon 3 was a pretty amazing addition to the game, and it took off. Like, a lot of people loved it, and now there's talk of them doing it with Halo, which is a close to home IP for the Microsoft umbrella. And what better like racing game to take on a challenge like this? Playground, with the Forza Horizon games. If you are a racing fan and you haven't played like Forza Horizon, you're a fool. So this is incredible news. But I made a few notes here. Like, they could literally do it for just about any like game that will allow it. They could make so many good themed like maps and scenery, and like they could do one for like Gears of War as well, and maybe a Gears of War 5 themed mission for Halo for Forza Horizon 4. I think, like, in answer to your question, Boom, I think this is incredible. Same with the Halo MCC topic we were just at. It's nice to see these companies are proud to support each other and what they're doing, like, and they're happy to put these great IPs on even higher pedestals. For Forza to do this, like taking Halo and a theme from an amazing mission, a very, very well-known mission from the first game, I think it's incredible. And I tell you now, just to end my opinion on the matter, as incredible as it is, and as credible as the Last Cartographer mission is, I'd like them to do a themed event with the final mission.
Oh, dude, on Halo 3, right?
On Halo 3. Imagine that. Mate, listen to me now, right? Imagine that mission, the final mission of Halo 3, where you and bloody the Elite, I can't remember his bloody name now off the top of it. The
Arbiter.
Arbiter, that's the one. Bloody hell. How do I forget that? On the back of a Warthog, the floor falling from under you. Imagine that, but in the Forza Horizon 4 world, like with the graphics and the mechanics, the scenery. Mate, say no more.
Yeah, let me just say this. Halo 3 for me rings supreme in regards to the Halo series. It's probably my favorite, and there for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, Halo 3 launched on my birthday, September 25th of that year, which is amazing. What's even more incredible is that my awesome wife surprised me with the collector's edition with the helmet. So like I said, blew me out of the water with that. I didn't expect it. But what's interesting is I played that game probably for about 10 hours. Rather than celebrating my birthday, I stayed up and I played with a few mates from Australia, 2 brothers and a cousin, and we did 4-player co-op on the hardest difficulty, and it's probably one of my most memorable times playing the Xbox 360. I had just purchased the themed Xbox 360 Halo edition. I had the helmet. It just was one of those memories. Everyone has those. Regardless of what flag you fly, there's always going to be that moment in time that you remember that was like literally Christmas, and that's how I felt for this. But here's the thing. I've talked to several people in the community, which I think this community is just literally second to none. And everyone, the big question that everyone keeps bringing up is the Forza 3 Hot Wheels track was so amazing and so unbelievably unexpected. How do you top that? And when I hear this news of Halo, and I'm not talking about just the Warthog showing up, because that in itself is great. But you're talking about the possibility of literally a themed event based on the Halo universe showing up. I think that could top it. But you know what? I want to kind of just test the waters a little bit with the chat, and I want to get your opinion on this. You made up a good, you made a great point. What if we saw the big vehicle or the from Gears of War show up, and you did a themed Gears of War mission? I mean, listen, they're doing new and different things. This to me seems like a new Xbox. Since E3, this seems like a new Xbox has shown up on the scene. And when you start hearing this, does this get you excited? We're all excited already for Forza Horizon 4. It's probably going to be the best one in the series. It's probably going to be the highest rated racer. And you know what? It may show up. And I say may because Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out. But it may show up in people's top 10s, even their Game of the Year picks. How more excited are you with this new information, dude?
Are you just to clarify? Are you asking me or are you asking the chat?
Well, I'm asking you, but I'm also asking the chat because there's an excitement for a game that doesn't come out for a couple of months that's continually building. You know, we've seen video, we've seen actual gameplay that they keep releasing, and every time that they show it, it's better than the last one, and the last one was amazing. Does all of this craziness surrounding Forza Horizon 4 excite you even more for the game?
Absolutely. I mean, I was sold on the trailer at E3, and it was the same. Like, I'm not to downplay it, but it was the same sort of like generic like approach they've taken with previous Horizon games. But they don't need to have like someone doing a handstand on the stage when at the end of the day, the game sells itself. Like all they need is some bloke going, yeah, this is what we're doing with this game, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think anyone's listening to whoever's talking because you're watching the video and you're thinking, am I watching a game or am I watching real life? It's like, it's just one of those things that like the game itself sells you on it because it's just, the quality is uncomparable. There's no competition. Forza Horizon, Forza in general, have taken this to new heights. So when you get a game of that caliber, pumping out the quality for the hardcore racing fan and even the casual racing fan, because Forza Horizon does in fact cater to either or. If you just want to drive around the open fields and run over sheep, crack on. You can do that too. But for a game of that caliber to take on like these little events and start it started with the Warthog. I always did wonder like why have they just put a Warthog in there? Like this has got to mean something. And I think maybe what we're hearing now is the result of that. Maybe they've been working on this for quite some time. Maybe it was too far gone with with Horizon 3, so they thought, you know what, we'll wait till Horizon 4. And what you need to realize as well is like the Warthog that they put into the game. They didn't just copy and paste the Warthog from a Halo file. They went to town on that.
The details is bananas, dude.
Crazy. They literally like it took ages for them to fine tune what they believed to be the Warthog, like how it would feel to drive it, what it would sound like. The detail involved. So yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, is this exciting? It just speaks for itself. It speaks volumes. Like for me, it goes to show that these developers working for Microsoft pay attention to the details of their games, and they pay attention to the little things, and they just know what to do to get people psyched. And they've certainly got me excited. So yeah, I am excited.
Well, you know what? I think that we've beaten this topic into the ground. So I want to talk about the little company that could. That's the next one. MDHR announced this week that the ultra-successful CupHead has surpassed 3 million copies sold, and they have new DLC on the way. Let me just say this, okay? Now, I have been very public about my distaste for the first-party helpings since the end of 2016. Going into 2017, we had games, but we didn't have a lot of games. And 2018, unfortunately, is shaping up to be the same thing. And that's, you know what, as an Xbox fan, I'm willing to accept it because I know that on the horizon is going to be a lot of stuff. But something came, CupHead came out, And this was a game that was heavily delayed. You know, it was made by only a handful, and I literally mean a handful of people. You always bring it up that they had to mortgage their homes to finish the game. How incredible is it for the success that MDHR is showing and now sharing with all of the Xbox community, that they've sold, not shipped, sold 3 million copies of one of the greatest bullet hell games probably ever created?
I think I speak for both of us and everyone watching, and just about any gaming fan out there. Not these haters who obsess on the things that don't matter. I'm all about true to your heart gamers, people who are fans of the industry. I'm not saying everyone needs to be a fan of CupHead, but at least appreciate what these guys have done. Like you made the point then, it is in fact a point that I was going to bring up again. But me and the guys on the Dragon X podcast have made it clear on more than one occasion. Like, these guys were dealt a pretty harsh hand. They didn't have the tools. Like, the game that we have in our hands now is a much bigger, better version of what we would have gotten if Microsoft hadn't have, realized the potential there. Because these guys were so committed. They remortgaged their houses like twice. There was a small team. They wanted to see this game completed. So for them, even just for them, this is incredible news. And for me, as a gamer who appreciates the work behind a good and well-developed game, this is just music to my ears. Because, like, God, you know as well, Boom, like, God knows how many times we've bought a $60 game, brought it back, taken the cellophane wrap off, and it's been garbage. Right. Absolute garbage. Yes. And you think, Christ, how did this ever make it to the shelf? But you've got a little team, behind CupHead, a unique art style. It took them years and years and years to develop as they hand drew everything.
Yes.
And it's paid off, and I am in absolute awe for them. I think they should all pop a bottle of Prosecco, take their wives out for loads of steak dinners and celebrate, man, because this is incredible news. Whether you like CupHead or not, as a gamer, this is fantastic.
Well, you know what? Listen, I want to take it one further. As an Xbox gamer, not just as a gamer in general, because there are gamers, and I like to consider myself one because I'm a multi-plat, supporter. But for the Xbox community, for the Xbox gamer, this is great to see, because this proves that the ID at Xbox program that Microsoft has been pushing for years does work. I mean, we still have titles like Below, and what's the name of the other one? Oh my God, I can't believe it. It should be coming out at the end of the year. When you see I love seeing the underdog win. And like I said, MDHR, there are, thanks to someone in the chat that mentioned they're a 15-person team. Now, I mean, that's for what we're playing with CupHead. Yes, it's hand drawn, but it's hand drawn. That's old-fashioned, Capcom stuff. You know what I'm saying? With all the hand-drawn art. This is a masterpiece. And again, it's hard as hell. Let's rip off that Band-Aid right now. I have not even passed the first island, because it just too many games came out, across multiple platforms that took my eyes off the screen, unfortunately. And I will eventually get back to it. But the game is hard, but it's so much fun to play that when you finally beat a boss, you feel like jumping up like you won the Super Bowl. And that's what makes this game so special. Yeah, it's hard, but it's just so beautiful to look at. And I could not be happier for MDHR. And I want to talk about another smaller company, segueing into the next topic. Hellblade just celebrated their 1-year anniversary of the title. And you know what? There's a couple of reasons why that's important. First and foremost, they are now a first-party developer for Microsoft. And I think that out of all of the companies they've purchased so far, in my opinion, it's probably one of my favorites, because, again, they're a small team, but this game took the world by storm. And it was made by 20 people. As a matter of fact, one of the devs, double dutied, and they used her as the actress who plays the main character. For you as a fan of not only the game, but knowing that this is now a first-party developer, is this a big accomplishment for that little team?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you from the off, Boom. I have purchased the game on disc. I got it from my local shop in my local town. But I have vowed to myself that I am not going to touch that game until I've completed at least 2 of the 100 games in my backlog. Because I want to play it, but it's one of those games I want to shut the lights off, sit down, enjoy. It looks a phenomenal game. So I can honestly say now, shocking as it may be, I haven't actually played Hellblade yet. I've seen loads of gameplay, and it looks amazing. It's got that Viking feel and everything. I love all that stuff. But regardless, you can see the heart that went behind that game. And for them to have to, and they have a lot to celebrate. I mean, we were just talking about the guys behind CupHead celebrating. These guys have just as much, as if not maybe a lot more to celebrate, as we've discussed before. The guys behind this at Ninja Theory. This game was make or break for them. They were looking at bankruptcy.
Yes.
So this game is always going to go down in history as the game that made them make it. Do you get me? The game that got them out of the dark times. Let's think about it for just 2 seconds. If this game didn't blow the world away as much as it did, it wouldn't have caught Microsoft's attention. And if they didn't catch Microsoft's attention, they probably would have gone under. So this is amazing. And for the team behind Hellblade, they clearly made a fantastic game. And I wish them all the luck in the future. And the fact that they're now, under the Microsoft umbrella as well, best business decision of their lives, taking on that deal, taking that contract, despite the people saying that they're sellouts. I'm very excited to see what they have in store for us, because Hellblade was a very small team again, quite a low budget, and now they're going to have the full backing of Microsoft behind them. It's going to be outstanding, absolutely unbelievable.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because like we've explained, they were a small team, but new information broke just on Monday that not only are they looking for a technical artist to beef up the staff for the next project that they're currently working on, they're looking to expand the team up to 130 people. And that's a big deal. Now, we have seen a hiring influx for first-party Microsoft studios, them being one of them now that we're going to talk about it. Now, if you remember coming out of E3, one of the naysays of all of these announcements from certain, toxic people in the community is that we weren't going to see these games for 5 years. Forget about it. But it turns out that Ninja Theory is the company that has a game that's more likely to release very soon, as a matter of fact. So soon, it probably could come out sometime in 2019 from the sources that I've spoken to. Now, let me just say this. You take Hellblade, right? Does well on the PlayStation and the PC. Comes to Xbox, does phenomenal, right? The people are supporting it, right? Everyone's excited about the graphics. It has the Xbox One X enhancements. It looks completely gorgeous. They're working on secretly another project. We have no idea what it is. More than likely, it's going to be a single-player game, because that is their forte. That is what they do best.
Absolutely.
Right? So now you take to the fact that Microsoft makes the announcement on E3 that they're purchasing the company, now that they're officially have the backing of Microsoft and they're a first-party dev. It makes me very excited. And again, this is just complete speculation, folks. What are they working on? Because Microsoft bought them with the quickness. So what they're working on must have excited Microsoft in a way that said, we have to not only say, because you touched on it, and I want to kind of just reiterate the fact. They're not sellouts. They were inches away from bankruptcy. And Microsoft stepped in and purchased the company. And if you are the head guy that owns that company, you have to make sure that your employees can feed their families. So when you hear sellout, it makes me nauseous, because you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person that has to look at his or her staff and say, guys, I'm sorry, I can't pay you this week. And what happens when that occurs, dude? Rents don't get paid. Car payments get missed. People can't pay their kids' tuition. Food doesn't go on the table. So to take an offer from one of the biggest companies in the entire planet, you'd be a fool. So my question to you, and of course I'm going to pose this to the chat: are you excited, without knowing anything, for what Ninja Theory is working on in the background?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's like I don't think I could even possibly guess as to what exactly it could be. Anything at this point. But I've said this before and I'll say it again. What's one of the main things that Xbox as a brand has been scorned for years now?
Single player.
Exactly. And in one fell swoop, Xbox acquired Playground, Compulsion, The Initiative, and in this case, Ninja Theory. With the exception of The Initiative, as that's a brand new studio, we don't know what they're doing. But the other three I mentioned, all great single player, centric developers. And Ninja Theory are clearly a master in their craft. Hellblade is testament to that. And as well as like Playground or whatever, but obviously right now we're talking about Ninja Theory. Like, look at what they did with Hellblade, with a broken company on its knees, shatters of maybe its former glory days. It was hanging on by tape, and they pulled that off, which is arguably one of the nicest looking visually games, clearly one of the best story games. It is ticking all the boxes for a lot of people, and it ticked obviously one of the most important boxes of their lives for Microsoft, hence the offer of acquisition. So now they've got, what you said, like over 100 people working under their wing, and they got the money, the budget backing of Microsoft, the complete creative freedom, no less. To say I'm excited would be an understatement, because the thing is, Boom, all we know, this is literally it. All we know, me, you, and anyone listening, is that this is a very capable and ambitious company who like to break the mold and pull things off, even in dire situations. That is all we know. And all we know as well is that they have the backing of Microsoft. So knowing just that is very exciting. I don't need to know what they're making, because all I can say is quite confidently, I'm 110% certain that whatever it is they're working on is going to probably sell Xboxes.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. That I mean, listen, listen, you're always judged, especially in this industry, and it's in sports as well, right? You're always judged on what you did last. Right? If you're a sports player and you're looking for a big contract to sign, and you had, a lot of fumbles and a lot of missed catches, well, then your numbers are not going to be as good as you want, because you're not a hot commodity at that particular time. That goes for gaming just as well. And what they did last in regards to Hellblade is nothing short of amazing, for all the reasons why you spoke about. But you know what? They're not the only people hiring. And that's going to segue us into God of War's producer switches sides to bolster new Microsoft studio. And we get this information now. It has been talked about on many shows, but I haven't talked about it personally with you. So I want to dive a little bit into this. Okay. Daryl Gallagher is the head dude at The Initiative, the new studio, the quadruple A studio that Microsoft is putting together. But he's not the only major talent there. They have acquired talent from Red Dead Redemption, Tomb Raider, and God of War, just to name a few. So I want to break down who these new folks are. Brian Westergaard is the gentleman that left Sony Santa Monica to team up and to take on the new vision of the initiative. That in itself, now again, he's not the only one that made the game. Hundreds of people worked on God of War. But when you take the lead dude, the head honcho, the presidente, and he moves over to the other company, meaning the Xbox, this is a blow for Sony Santa Monica. Now I'm going to say this before I get attacked by any of the ponies. God of War is my personal game of the year in 2018. That has not changed. I called it in a Crossfire podcast at the end of 2017. I've stuck to my guns. I put 50 plus hours into that game. I absolutely adored it. But when you remove talent of that significance away from a company, you must be doing something right. So my question to you, Welsh, is how big of a deal is getting Brian Westergaard to come work with the initiative?
Well, this is the thing, Boom. Like, you've only mentioned one. And
I'm going to get into it. I have the list in front of me.
No, exactly. So I'll leave it to you to mention the rest. But just speaking of this guy who worked on God of War, which many of these media sites dubbed as Game of the Generation. So he had no reason to leave. He had no reason to leave at all. He was the lead producer for a development company that, potentially have just made the, and quote, Game of the Generation. He was good. He was good. He could have sipped on mojitos for the rest of the year and not had to worry about a damn thing. But this initiative, whatever they're working on, I mean, like, we've just sung praises for the 4K patch for MCC. We've just sung praises for the guys over at MDHR for the CupHead game. We've just sung Ninja Theory's praises. But the initiative had their pitch to this guy and the others that follow, which you'll get to in a minute. They've obviously presented them with something so great that they wanted to be a part of it. Maybe it was so great that they went back to their wife that evening to discuss the move, discuss the change, discuss their future. And he must have said, yo, babe, this is the future. I want to be part of the future. That's all I can think of. For it to be a quadruple A studio, so the budget is going to exceed that of Red Dead and probably GTA 5 combined.
Yes,
you're talking the next level of game development by one of the biggest companies in the world. And you've got God of War's lead producer thinking, do you know what? God of War was awesome. One of the best games I've probably developed in my whole career. But I want to be a part of whatever the initiative is doing. Like, that just makes my head go wild, mate. That makes me want to pull hairs out of my head because I want to know. It's like the fruit from the forbidden tree. Like, you just want to bite it. You want to have a taste of that fruit. I want to know what they're working on to pull a guy from a very, very, very successful and established company who just worked on one of the best games this gen. I don't know what to say other than that, mate. If that doesn't shout excitement, then God, I don't know.
Well, you know what? I want to read a direct quote from Daryl Gallagher, and then I'm going to break down who else recently came over. This is a quote directly from him. The foundation that we have in place for the initiative is unique in many ways. We've been given the freedom to explore, try new things, and operate like an independent studio with the backing from one of the biggest companies in the world to do something bold and different. The industry is heading in an exciting direction, and we see an opportunity to create amazing new game experiences for the future. Our immediate focus is expanding our team to bring life to that vision, and we are incredibly excited for what the future holds for the initiative. Now, in a tweet where Daryl Gallagher announced all these peoples, this is what he had to say. I'm really excited to add the team to the initiative. We have had an incredible positive response from the development community after our E3 announcement, and I am pleased to share some of the talented people already on the team. We already talked about Brian Westergaard. Now we have Annie Lohr, Christian Cantamesa, Blake Fisher, Daniel Newberger, and Lindsay McQueenie. Now, one of those people, she was responsible, and I'm not sure if it's Annie or Lindsay, were one of the major writers for Red Dead Redemption. You know, everyone that seems to be coming over to work for Microsoft, it's not just money. I keep hearing that. Well, you know, they're the most richest, so they're probably adding a lot of zeros. You know, creators of video games are very similar to artists. You know, they go out and they have an idea. And once that idea is not, you know, again, it's not the same principle because it's not a portrait, but when that idea is realized on the screen, that's their canvas. Okay, so yes, money does talk. Zeros do make people move. But this is not the first major hiring. This is like the third or fourth group of people that they've made announcements for. And it's really saying something. And there's 2 points that I have for this. First of all, whatever they've pitched these people must be an incredible game that they're going to eventually make. But with all of the hiring that they've been doing, I think they're working on multiple projects. I want to get your opinion on how important it is, not only to the initiative because they're new and they're a quadruple A studio, but to Microsoft as a whole to continue to pull this talent from everywhere in the industry.
Well, it speaks for itself how important it is. I mean, Xbox, in my opinion, has produced some outstanding games. But if I'm being completely 100 with everyone listening, we haven't had a Halo for a long time.
Yep.
We haven't had a Gears for a long time. Like, Halo was the game of the OG Xbox, which kicked the Xbox train in you know, a huge direction. Gears of War launched with the 360, and that was what launched the 360 into amazing heights. If I'm just being 100% honest, the Xbox One hasn't had that title yet. I mean, I've said on multiple occasions, I'm not going to make Xbox apologize for continually bringing us very successful franchises like Halo and Gears. I hope they never stop, at least unless the games become garbage, but they're not, so keep them coming. But I'm just wondering if, like, the initiative just being one of them. I mean, we've discussed Playground, Compulsion, Ninja Theory, like that, you know, and it doesn't look like it's stopping there with recent news coming to the forefront. They're looking to hire more and more, you know, AA and AAA studios. But with this particular squad of people they've hired for the initiative, some amazing talent, one of them being the writer of Red Redemption 2, the lead producer for God of War, the recruiter for Respawn. You got the guy from Tomb Raider, the Crystal Dynamics, Daniel Newberger and Lindsay McQueenie, as you mentioned. These are some incredible people. Incredible people. And they even got the senior director of planning at Microsoft, Blake Fisher, just to oversee and make sure everything's going in like a smooth direction. And I'm just thinking, like, is this Xbox's like die-hard attempt to maybe recreate a new Halo? And I don't mean literally a new Halo, because 343 are making Halos. I specifically mean a new IP that is going to be up there with Halo and Gears and Forza. Even though I could argue that, you know, Undead Labs accomplished that with State of Decay, MDHR accomplished that with CupHead. Like, these are games that deserve to be held high. But like, this is a lot of big talent, man. And all I can really say is this game is going to be huge. This game or games. I mean, for me, for it being, because it's a new company and they're you know, recruiting like this team and stuff like that, I think I'd feel more comfortable for them to just concentrate on one game and smash it out of the park. Personally, you might disagree, which is fine. People might disagree in the chat, but I'd be more comfortable with all of their heads working on one amazing game. But Microsoft are just shutting people up left and right, man. I mean, the biggest thing was you don't have any single player games, you don't have enough developers, you don't have enough new IPs, and I think by the time next generation kicks off, maybe even sooner than that, I think a lot of these companies, Initiative included, are just ready to just knock people out.
Well, you
Like,
know what? It makes listen, they understand that mistakes were made, right? You as a fan, we were all disappointed for a time. But when again, there right now as it stands, there were a tale of two different Microsofts. Pre E3 was they were kind of leading up, and a lot of question marks were being thrown at that. A lot of questions per se were being thrown at them by not only the game fans but the media as well. And post E3, every one of those questions were answered tenfold. Right? You didn't leave E3 2018 not sure what the direction Microsoft it was going to go. Right? You first of all, no one expected the announcement of 5 studios. Right? That's probably going to go down in the E3 history as one of the biggest things to happen in a very, very long time. Right?
oh, for sure.
So, we know the direction they're going, the hiring they're constantly putting out there. And again, they don't have to do this. But when you see studio heads of first party developers putting out there, hey, we're hiring, it gives the fan base hope that there is something coming. Again, it may not be in 2018. But we're going to see something in 2019. What it is, I don't know. But I can tell you this. The next generation we have the potential as if you follow patterns, we have the potential to have a new Xbox console launching with a new Halo, a new Fable, and a new iteration of Forza Motorsport, whatever, along with some other titles that we don't know about. That is gigantic news. But you know what? I'm going to segue once again into the next generation with Xbox. Now, it has been confirmed that we are getting 2 SKUs, right? And that freaked out a lot of people in the community. You're going to get your traditional Xbox hardware console that sits alongside of your TV that you can put discs in. But there was talk, and it has been confirmed, that Microsoft is investing in a smaller, inexpensive unit that's going to play the Xbox games the same way a disc would, but it's going to be a third of the price. Like, we're expecting the next Xbox to probably be $500. I think that's fair to say. But from what we're hearing, their streaming service little box is going to be about $150. Now, that's smart because there are a lot of PlayStation 4 owners who were 360 players and have a tremendous digital library and maybe wouldn't want to leave the PlayStation 4. But if you gave that fan base that was an Xbox fan at one point an opportunity to come back and be a part of the next generation and say, hey, listen, you can get this streaming box. It's $150, but it's going to play all of your games identical with little to no latency whatsoever by jumping, coming back to the Xbox family. So now again, when we're talking about latency, that's everyone's concern. Well, it turns out that Microsoft has hit upon an intriguing new technique to reduce latency. And basically how that's going to work is they're going to slice each game so that part of it runs in the cloud and part of it runs locally. And what happens is on the Microsoft Azure servers, it's going to be stitched back together. So it's going to be basically making the game seem as if there's no latency and you're running it on disk. If they're able to pull this off, Welsh, how important is this going to be for gaming as a whole?
Well, you said it. If they pull it off.
Right.
Now, I'm a half glass full kind of guy, always have been. I've never been one to read into like anything too much. I like to try and keep a realistic, state of mind. But I am a half glass full kind of guy, so I do get excited. And this kind of news to me gets me excited because if if they could in fact pull off a way where me, you, Dupree, Luan, bloody just about anyone you can name can go out and buy a box for a third of the price or a quarter of the price of like one with a disk drive, and you could play your games with the same quality, you know, regardless of how good or bad your internet is. Like, I think again, if they could pull that off, that's amazing. But as much as a glass half full kind of guy I am, I can't help but like raise the eyebrow because of previous things with regards to the cloud. Like you know, we since 2013 we have been promised a few things regarding the cloud, and it just never really seemed to materialize. So I'm hoping that was just a case of it was in its infancy. They didn't realize, like, you know, that it might have needed a bit more fine tuning than this and that. I'm hoping that maybe now they've got a good grip of how the cloud is working over there, that, you know, with the Azure servers and stuff like that. And they're quite confident that, yeah, this is an avenue we can very much go down and we can make this work. Because again, and I say if, just to play devil's advocate, if they can work it out and they do it, it'll be genius. It'll be genius for marketing, genius for install base, genius for units, and just all around. It'll be an absolute sell. Like I don't think we realize quite how many people, whether they love or genuinely detest Xbox, will be intrigued enough to purchase one of these little streaming devices if they can pull this off. If they can't pull this off, then I think a lot of people will be happy because it'll be a traditional console. Right. But, you know, I think frankly, it just gives me a buzz to see that Microsoft are willing to try these things. They're willing to innovate. They're willing to push the boundaries. They're willing to go above and beyond to accommodate just about everyone. Because let's be real, like if the next generation of Xbox was to cost 150 and you could guarantee it'd work and everything, that, you know, the streaming and all the all digital side of it would work perfectly, I'd buy it there and then. I wouldn't waste any time. I wouldn't even think about buying the one with the disc tray, because like we've discussed before, I don't buy that many discs anymore. I've probably got about 10 discs this generation tops. Yeah. I'd be all for it. So yeah, like it would be amazing. That's pretty much how I can end that. If they could do it, that would be amazing.
Well, I'm going to say this. First of all, the code name for this new cloud service is the X Cloud, which obviously, because of Xbox, seems, you know, relevant, so to speak. But, you know, with gaming, there are a lot of people who double dip. And I don't necessarily mean own multiple different consoles, but like a guy like Mooch, for instance, big fan of the show, big fan of his, very good friend of mine. He has multiple Xbox One X's because he has one in the den, and he also has one, you know, somewhere else, you know, within the home. Now, if you're an Xbox gamer and you have kids, you know, it's hard to try and split the time when your kids want to play and you want to play. This is a great idea to have a streaming service. You know, you get that little box and you put it in your kid's room, and they're just going to town playing their games, and it's running perfectly. You know, again, you don't have to spend $1,000. You buy your traditional box underneath your you know, that you stick into the you know, into the shelf, and you also have the little streaming service that's $100 to $150. Now, if you are new to Xbox, let's just say, and you are, you know, you're like, well, you know, I'm usually a PS4 guy, but, you know, this 150 thing isn't a bad deal. You know, this is why Game Pass is so important, because as it stands today, they have 165 games available for $10 a month. Now, you add a streaming, you add a streaming box that's $150, and someone that's new to the platform is going to have their access to all of their biggest first-party stuff. You know what I'm saying? They get caught up with $10 a month. And, you know, when you buy the streaming box, who knows? You may get 30 days. You may get 90 days free. And then you can just go to town. I mean, I think that the value of what Microsoft is looking to do with all of these different services, as well as offer a cheaper, more affordable version of the Xbox, is going to make big sales for them. I mean, they did say that they want an Xbox in everyone's home. And I think that this is the way to do it.
No, definitely. I think well, you just said it. That's been their goal since they started getting into the gaming industry. That was that was their ultimate goal. They wanted everyone to have one. Because this streaming box could in fact stream music as well, could stream movies. There's no limit to what it could do. But the
Right.
fact that it could stream games and just to add to your point, Boom, imagine this. Like we've seen bundles in the past, like your God of War bundle, Spider-Man bundle, Star Wars bundle, Vader, but like they do bundles all the time with consoles and games. It's just a given thing. But talk about bundles and value for money. Imagine this: buy a Xbox Stream Box today for $150, and for free a 1-year code for Game Pass.
You sold me. You know what I'm saying? That's the way you get the Xbox streaming service in everyone's home. You offer, because it's not going to cost them a lot of money to develop it, right? I mean, that's obvious. It's going to be a streaming box, and from how it's been explained, it's not going to be any bigger than like your mobile phone that you carry around in your pocket. And if that in fact is the case, they are going to be able to manufacture these at a very, very reasonable price. And who knows, they may actually make a profit off of it. So they could afford to offer a year or 6 months or even 3 months worth of Game Pass. Because again, because of the price, it's going to sell. Now, I'm going to say something else. I know that you said your glass is half full. Well, I'm right there with you. My glass is always half full. Why I have confidence in this is for this major reason. The failure of Kinect is always going to be a stink on the Xbox and Microsoft Corporation that they're never going to be able to get out from under. That's obvious. The Kinect on the 360 sold very well for them, and unfortunately, their ideology of the next generation wasn't a good one when it came to Kinect 2.0. And that, again, failed miserably. So I don't think Phil Spencer would be ballsy enough to go out there and say, yes, we're going to bring you this streaming service and it's going to run this way, and not be able to do it. I mean, do you have confidence that by Phil coming out and saying, yes, we're going to do this, do you think that he knows something that we don't?
In Phil, we trust.
Yes.
I bleed green, brother. I bleed green. And I'm a true supporter of Phil and everything he's done for Xbox. And you hit the nail on the head, brother. Hit the nail square on the head that you didn't even have to raise the hammer twice. The nail went all the way through. Phil knows what he's doing, and he clearly does not want a repeat of old wounds. Like, there's a few things that happened at the launch of this system, which, like you said, like, it's going to take a long time. I think we actually won't ever see these said things, Kinect being one of them, out of like people's conversations until maybe even like next gen, depending on how well next gen kicks off. So yes, like, I mean, I don't think Phil wants to put his name on a product if it isn't going to be like a win, a W.
Yep.
Like I honestly think that this is me being honest now, and I this is the thing. I'm an Xbox fan. I support Microsoft and Xbox and what they do. I'm a fan, and I can confidently and quite honestly say wholeheartedly that if Microsoft have another Kinect, if Microsoft have another Xbox One launch, if they have anything of that level of fail, I honestly don't see them lasting in the gaming industry. Not because they can't afford to be there, not because they can't do it. They clearly have the talent. I just think they'd be shamed out of it, if you get me. Like, fingers pointed, basically made a mockery of. People just wouldn't want to invest, knowing that they've done this not once, not twice, but can go, if they were going to keep making these stupid decisions. So that puts confidence in me that this is going to work out, because I just know full well that they can't be that stupid to put out a product if it's going to fail after what happened.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely agree. Well, listen, this has been an incredible first episode. Like we explained the numerous times on Twitter, this is going to be a 60-minute show to start. It could eventually expand maybe to 90 minutes, depending on the topics, depending on whether or not the Welsh Gamer and I are able to to, you know, guarantee that we're going to do 90 minutes, but this is an Xbox program that's going to run weekly. It's going to be a full solid 60 minutes of nothing but Xbox talk. I hope that everyone in the chat that showed up, and I have well over 70 people watching, which blows my mind because it is such a big deal for me. Welsh, once again, I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to take this journey with me on the Xbox, centric show. I think that for Xbox Factor episode 1, we really knocked it out of the park. We kind of touched on everything, but you know what? I want people to get on board with your shows. You have an incredible channel. I think that you need to get more subs, and I really, really appreciate your honest and thoughtful opinions on the brand. Tell everyone where they could follow you on Twitter, and more importantly, tell them what you have coming up later today.
Cheers, Boom. I appreciate that. And can I just say the feeling is completely mutual on this partnership, this new project. I'm so stoked to be doing this. And this was an incredible first episode, and I cannot wait for the next one next week. But, as for outros, where people can find me, on Twitter, at the Welsh Gamer 93, one word. But on YouTube, you can find me as the Welsh Gamer, 3 separate words. No 93 at the end, just the Welsh Gamer. And I put out as much content as possible, but one guaranteed content that comes out is every other Thursday. We do a Dragon X podcast with myself, Microbox of X, and EROCX. And it just so happens that the next episode is later on tonight, 2 p.m. EST, or if you're in the UK, 7 p.m. BST. So be sure to check that out. That'll be in a few hours from now. About 2 hours from now, we'll be going live on my channel. And we have a lot of fun. We talk Xbox, all the topics. We pull no punches. And we just say it as it is. But this was an incredible show, Boom. Thanks for asking me to be a part of it.
Well, listen, again, this is something I've personally always wanted to do. Like I said, I proudly support all 3 consoles, but my heart pumps green blood. And being able to have a channel that I can do that, it makes me excited. Every day I'm putting these shows together. So once again, I'm your host, MrBooMStickXK. Please follow my good friend the Welsh Gamer. Check out his show later on this evening. Once again, a big shout out to the chat. You guys were absolutely fantastic from top to bottom. The chat was like I really enjoy it. Very well spoken. Everyone was nice with each other. No bullies. A lot of knowledge dropped in into the chat, which is great. Of course, UK Dazarus, the moderator of the universe, is in there making sure that it stays proper. And I just want to mention him again. He's on a fight to get 1,000 subs. He is one of the community's finest. And if you're new to my channel and you appreciate the way I am with you, you'll appreciate UK Dazarus. I think his channel is absolutely fantastic. A lot of retro stuff, a lot of racing stuff. And I'd like to see him hit that 1,000 subs before the end of the year. So get out there and give him a follow. And once again, thank you everyone who showed up to watch the show live. We'll see you next Thursday on episode 2 of the Xbox Factor podcast. Have a great day, everyone.